So, tomorrow, Tuesday, the 4th of January, 2022, Pervy Prince Andy will have his day in court. And I'm going to be talking about that today. I'm going to be letting you guys know what's going to be happening in court, what we can expect, and also letting you guys know what I think. So, if you're interested, if you enjoy, hit that subscribe button. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, especially now that, the gears have kind of shifted a little bit because Ghislaine has actually been found guilty. Praise the Lord. And let's get into it. So, Pervy Prince Andy, also known as Prince Andrew, is going to be in court, like I said, tomorrow, January 4th. And the important thing I want to just kick off with now is the fact that this trial won't actually go through. There's a potential the trial won't go through, basically, because his team are trying to get the case thrown out, which, anyway, they're trying to get the case thrown out by basically saying, well, Virginia is not even a resident of here, so why is she able to kind of put this case through? So pretty much, if the judge agrees that, you know what, Virginia can't do that because she's not a resident, then we're going to be back at square one again. Square zero. I want to call it square zero. We're going to be back at square zero. And the thing that's crazy about this to me is the fact that, once again, we're not here discussing whether he's even guilty or not guilty. It's just, does she have the right in this residency, in this jurisdiction, in this whatever, to be, taking him to court? And I just think that's so unhelpful. I feel like this justice system, and this is why I talk about the justice system a lot and how unjust it is. Like, the fact that there are these loopholes, this is exactly why well-off people that have got a lot of money and stuff, they get away with literal murder, literal rape, and paedophilia, while the average person can't afford maybe to have lawyers that can find these types of loopholes. Because when I even heard this, I was like, wait, how is this even a thing? How is this even something that's going to prevent potentially this trial going forward? Because if they do say, like, you know what, we accept that Virginia, we accept this trial anyway, then the next stage that they're going to go to is called discovery, I believe, which basically means that her team, Virginia Roberts' team, is going to be able to request a whole bunch of evidence from Prince Andrew. So you can see why he really is not about to be a part of this. You can see why his lawyers are trying to do the swerve. They're trying to swerve and be like, we don't want to do all that. We don't want to have to be in that position. And I think that's why they've really scrambled to try and like find a reason to get this thing thrown out. And I'm just hoping personally, and praying genuinely that the judge doesn't look at this just from the, and this is why, as much as this is why I believe in God's justice system, because this justice system says, oh, well, you could be 100% guilty of something, and if you've got good enough lawyers to find good enough loopholes and enough money, then you're good to go, mate. Go on, continue, or go on, get on with what you've been getting on with. And another thing that shocked me again with Andrew is just his like, he's a swerver. I think of all the people involved in this Epstein stuff, he is a big swerver. Like, when it came down to him being interviewed in the past, he's always tried to say that, oh, it's not really that he's friends of Epstein, he's just Ghislaine's +1, I think he said once. Even though I think there was a picture that was taken together with him and also Epstein. I think that the picture of him and Epstein and the girl was actually taken in one of the royal buildings in Scotland, if I'm not mistaken. The one that we all know, but don't quote me on it in case I'm wrong. But one of the times they were all found together anyway in this royal palace in Scotland. So, it's really funny how, again, to me, he's just using that as an opportunity to try and swerve again and be like, oh, well, I'm just the friend of the friend. Like, you can't blame me, but I didn't know that's what she was doing with that guy. Like, which again, to me, is really strange. I think for me, if you're friends with somebody, and they are friends or in a relationship with somebody dodgy, and in this case, if he was friends with Ghislaine and she's friends or in a relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, because as we know, even Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine's relationship, there's loads of grey areas with that, then I feel like you'd be able to tell that something is off, or you'd at least know something. I highly doubt that now that Ghislaine's gone down as his friend, he knew nothing. But obviously, I don't think he ever thought it would get to this point. Otherwise, I don't think he would have claimed that she was his friend. I think he only thought that Jeffrey was going to go down, and obviously then he was dead, which I don't believe he's dead, of course. But so I think he thought he was going to get away with it. And then another weird thing that he said, is that Virginia had added a few specific details about apparently what went down, you know, when they had their relations. And obviously she said from as young as 17, which obviously is underage. And honestly, guys, this is another thing that I have to just quickly just mention now. I don't know why we always have to discuss age, even because to me, if you're like, to me, right, even me, and I'm not even the oldest of people, I'm young, do you know what I mean? Like I'm an early-ish adulthood, if you like. I wouldn't go for an 18-year-old person anyway. Like, I could legally be with an 18-year-old, I could legally be with a 21-year-old, but it's very unlikely because to me, not to say that they're like babies or anything, but in a way they kind of are. Like, and so to me, it just baffles my mind that we even have to be talking about this level of 18, like 17. It's just weird. Like, why are you even entertaining that? But anywho, so apparently she was 17 anyway. But yeah, so she had this very detailed, and some of the details she thought she mentioned were quite interesting. I know a lot of people who are, you know, like specialists of knowing people that lie or body language, they say that a lot of the time, if somebody's telling the truth, they tend to add details that you would only know if it was a truth, kind of thing. Like, you would only say if it was the truth, because for example, if you were to say, oh, and he was wearing so and so and so and so and so and so, and to be honest, he kind of smelled a bit this and this, and he had a sweat patch on his shoulder. Those are the type of details that you don't tend to add if you're just making stories up, right? So one of the things that she had said, and this is just me guys speculating, by the way, allegedly, yada yada yada, YouTube, whatever, don't cancel me for that. So one of the things that she pointed that she said is that he was sweating profusely and that they danced together, which again, weird. Can't imagine what it would have been like to, anyway, I'm not even going to think about that. But she said that he was sweating profusely, which is very interesting because he then tried to clap back at that claim and say, oh, well, I had this, that's not possible because I had a condition, which means that I didn't sweat, blah, 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 blah. At least, and then he goes, which I have a condition, which means that I don't sweat. And then he corrected himself and said, which meant that I didn't sweat at the time, which again, to me is like, first of all, why did you feel the need to have to defend that particular detail? Why not just let it go? Because it's like if somebody had said to me, oh, like, it's pretty understandable in a dancing situation. If somebody even wanted to make up a story and you're partying or whatever, it's pretty like possible that somebody could be sweating a lot, right? So why did he feel the need to go against it? And I almost feel like he was overcorrecting. He was over like trying to protect himself by being like, how that's not even possible that I was sweating anyway because I had a condition. And it's like, what condition? Tell us the condition then. What is the condition? And I feel like if this goes forward, we need to hear about this condition. I want to know what this condition was. I want to see the files. I want to hear from the doctor. I want to see the doctor's letter with dates of when this all happened. And I wanted to see that it all matches up because apparently it's not there anymore based on his little correction. You know, so what's really going on here, Andrew? And like I said, it's the shame of all of this is, first of all, as I say all the time, guys, and if you haven't seen my other videos, I've done lots of videos talking about this, so just check out my playlist on my channel and all that. But I'm like, at the end of the day, we say that people should speak up if they've been through stuff, but look what's happening. Virginia, all these other women, obviously Ghislaine's gone down, Jeffrey's fake dead, you know, there isn't really real justice here. We're starting to see the beginnings, and I really thank God for that, and I really hope, I'm hoping so strongly, and I will be keeping you guys up to date. So if you do want to hear, please obviously keep up with the videos. I'm going to be posting what's going on, and I'm going to be trying to post as it's all happening. But like, why are we telling people to speak up if this is what happens? Why are we telling people to speak up if, imagine being in a situation where you've actually had to go through what these girls are claiming they've been through, right? And not only are you having to deal with this years later because of whatever reasons, you know, probably because they didn't want to take on people of this level, etc., but rather than you just being able to tell your story, people would want to throw your whole case out just for the fact of, oh, well, technically you're not a resident. Technically you're not a resident. And it's just ridiculous. But I will say the one thing that does give me hope about the situation is the fact that in the UK, apparently anyway, the UK is kind of like saying, well, the UK media and the media in general has kind of had a bit of a change of tune as far as what I've seen, even what I've been seeing. And I don't really like to watch the news too much, as I've said before, but I do tend to watch them just to see what they're saying, just to see where we're at, to compare it with what's actually happening. And one thing I have realized is there is a bit of a shift now where people are not really backing him up as much as they were before. And I think a lot of the times that these types of things happen, I think it's because people at the top level, like the people who are at the top level of the media, are the type of people who would be friends with like the likes of even Prince Andrew, Ghislaine Maxwell, and all these people. And I did a video talking about, you know, Ghislaine's father and his connections to like the media and everything, which is very, very interesting, especially because some of the media in the UK is actually owned by Rupert Murdoch, who's one of the guys I mentioned as being in competition with Ghislaine's father. And the UK media in general is not owned by people in the UK. I did a whole bunch of videos about that. But also even in the US now, I guess they have to they have to play it carefully, because the other thing is, and this is why we say the power is with the people, because so many people are so upset, because so many people are saying so much, they're not going to be able to maintain their power as long as the public don't feel like justice is being done. And that's why it's important for me and others to, you know, to be talking about this, even for you guys. And thank you for those of you who keep me up to date and comment on my videos and stuff, because at the end of the day, these people will get away with it if they can. If they can, God forbid, genuinely, and I pray in the name of Jesus that there will be justice tomorrow and that they will move forward to the discovery stage. But if not, then Prince Andrew will just again essentially walk away, and it will be very difficult. It's difficult for them to even get their claims, their when I say their claims, I mean like the victims, for them to get their cases even heard enough. You know, and I think if they can get to trial, such as how, you know, Ghislaine was able to get to trial, then it could, the power can shift back to the people if there is a jury who gets to hear evidence. And also, we have to see what evidence is coming up now. Obviously, I reckon that they're probably throwing evidence out now, trying to discard and destroy any proof that they've got anything. I'm kind of hoping, which is what happens with a lot of evil people in general in the world, is that they think that they're too prideful. They're too prideful and they think they can get away with everything. So I'm kind of hoping that they think they're going to get away with everything, so that when they don't get away with everything, they wouldn't have thrown as much stuff away. But I really hope there's evidence to back up what's going on. Not because I believe there has to be. I believe we should give people, we should be more inclined to believe people than to not believe them. So that I'm saying that in terms of the girls. But there's just too many fishy things going on with Andrew. He's just too wishy-washy. 1 minute it's this, 1 minute it's that, 1 minute here, 1 minute there. I don't understand really at where we're at now. And even the royal family, as like I mentioned in another video, how Prince William has kind of been speaking out against his uncle now as well, you know. And so yeah, that's just what I have to say for now. We'll see what happens tomorrow on January 4th. Hopefully they will move forward to the discovery stage, and if they do, I think this is going to be a big turn, especially because I think a lot of people felt maybe the royal family was unattainable. I reckon a lot of people, the powers of the world, the evil powers of the world as I like to call them, they tend to think that they're so untouchable. And I think if this goes through, I think this could be a big massive shift in the whole case of Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine and everybody, because of who Prince Andrew is. And to me, just going off of my intuition, my gut instinct, my gut feeling, I do feel that he is guilty. And I do feel he's way more heavily involved than he wants to say. I reckon the people in the royal family knew exactly what this guy was doing, but they chose to do what a lot of people do, which is turn a blind eye. That's why so many of these things are still happening, which is so annoying and unfortunate. I reckon they knew what was going on, but they probably were like, oh, we're not going to be too worried. Almost in the same way that Prince Harry over here, for those of us in the UK, we know that Prince Harry growing up, he was allowed to do everything. He had been caught naked he was naked in the newspaper one time. He'd been caught out drinking. So because he wasn't necessarily going to be the king, they kind of let him get away with stuff, which I think is also why they kind of let Meghan get involved with him, even though they've had all the scandals and stuff, because they're looking at him and they're going, well, you're probably not going to be king, right? Whereas there's people like the likes of Charles, who obviously they wanted to force to be with Diana, even though he wanted to be with Camilla. Or you look at Prince William, who's got what I would suggest or think is exactly what the royal family would want for him to marry Kate Middleton. You know, it kind of shows that I feel like with the royal family, and this is not just in the UK royal family, historically in a lot of royal families, there's always that thing of whoever's going to be taking taking on the position, whoever's next to be king or queen tends to have to obey the rules more. So that was what makes me inclined to think that if at the time, you know, previously Andrew was second in line to become king after his brother Charles. Obviously now he's like way down the line. I think somebody said like 9th, because Charles is most likely going to be skipped. So it kind of makes sense that if they didn't want to address it, if they wanted to turn a blind eye, which a lot of people unfortunately have chosen to do, they probably would have just done that. And with even this stuff, and maybe not paid too much attention. And if anything, I just hope that there's going to be a high level accountability, and I expect if he does go down there to be an apology from the palace, from, you know, the royal family, because this is unacceptable. And so many people are in, even over here, all the prisons, they're called HMP, Her Majesty's Prison. Her Majesty's Prison. Do you know how many people are in Her Majesty's Prison right now, right? For crimes that they did. It could be way, and a lot of them way smaller and way more consensual, might I add, than Andrew. Pervy Prince Andy better be going down, and I expect to hear, if he does go down, if he is found guilty, I expect to hear he is in Her Majesty's Prison as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Don't forget to stay up to date, because I'm gonna be talking about what's going on, you know. Other than that, subscribe. God bless you, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.